What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Getting deeper into the month of June, the Titans have their final OTA practice on Tuesday, tomorrow, but continuously reacting to last week's 3 days of mandatory minicamp. Jack and I went through our winners and losers, 5 on each side, from last week's minicamp on Friday. We're going to kick off this week talking more about Will Levis and how his mandatory minicamp performance opens the door for an important question for the Titans' second-year quarterback. So Will Levis talk today here on this Monday. So we'll go through some of his minicamp ups and downs, some struggles that he had. Brian Callahan talking about the offense bouncing back and where you might have some concerns for Will Levis going into year 2, a big year where all the chips are in the Will Levis side of the table for the Tennessee Titans. And then Monday's age game. Zach, you missed the age game last week, traveling back. But we've got the updated graphic and another age game performance, and maybe I can win, as I was the age game master last week, and I stumped Jack. Pretty good. Diana Taurasi was who I went after because of all the Caitlin Clark hoopla. I connected the dots and went Diana Taurasi.
She's older, 36.
Older than that.
39.
Hey, older than that, too. You're doing a good job. You're guessing under the woman's age, so that's a good thing.
It's a good I don't care if Diana 41 gets offended, to be honest, but
41.
41. Okay. Yeah. I did not know that. Today, we'll connect some dots. Today, a little older than 41. That's a good hint. See, I don't usually give out hints, but older than 41 today, whoever it is. So
Curtis says 36 is old, man, because you're like, she's older. 36.
Well, for a basketball player,
professional athlete, yes.
Bro, I am 36. I would be killing myself if I was saying that is old.
For a professional athlete, yes.
Aches and pains are real, though. They're more abundant as Father Time gets a hold of you. So we will dive into that at the end. Excited to be back on the show and inquire and learn more about what has gone on over the last couple of weeks in Titans OTAs and mini camps as they kind of wrap up June. I've tried to follow as best I can as we've got a lot of things building this summer company-wide that we'll be excited to announce closer to the season. But big show today. We want to get everybody involved. We are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We get you locked in right there. And if you are on YouTube, we will tweet out those links segment by segment, link by link on our Twitter handle at A to Z Sports. So make sure you lock in there. That's a great way to enter the show at any point in time at ATOZ Sports. YouTubers, subscribe, like, and ring the bell. What does that mean? Well, subscribe if you have not subscribed. Go to YouTube, search A to Z Sports Nashville, hit the subscribe button. If you already are subscribed, hit the like button on this video. It helps the algorithm as we grow this community. And ring the bell. That means live alerts. So when we go live, you guys get notified. As the easiest way to make sure that you are locked in there. And Facebook, bottom left corner of your screen, sharing out of public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing, as we say on this show. Share the show around. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. So now that we've gotten that all out of the way, it's time to get this party started on a Monday morning.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome in the A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. You can follow us there at A to Z Sports, and also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care, and Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans with your health coverage and get a quote using our link today at fbhp.com/ATOZ. ATOZ. King VC out of the gates with the super chat. Lock in, like the show. Chat has been slacking. It is officially mid-June now that it is June double-digit days. So yeah, a little bit vacation season for a lot of people. But yeah, lock in and like the show right there via King VC on Facebook and on YouTube. Okay, Zach. So Friday, Jack and I went through our 5 winners and 5 losers that I put together with Travis May, who helped me cover Titans minicamp for the last 3 days last week. And so here I'll just show you, just for your information gathering purposes, we'll go through a little update. Here were the 5 winners that Travis May and I put together from last week's minicamp. Now, these are players that I thought and Travis thought maximized the opportunities that they had during the 3 days of mandatory minicamp. J.C. Latham, first-round pick. Gabe Judy-Lally, undrafted free agent rookie, who's getting a lot of play with L'Jarius Sneed's management of his knee at cornerback. A 6th-round pick, Jaquan Jackson. Looks like he's trying to carve out a role for him as a return man and also in the slot. Jack Gibbons, they've tried to replace him a couple times in free agency in the draft as inside linebacker with the green dot up for grabs, and who I think will be the starting right guard, free agent signee Sidik Charles. So, Zach, off the top, any surprises from those 5 guys as the winners of mandatory minicamp?
I mean, the surprises for me is the doctor, Gibby. I think that is it's one of those guys that just has grit and grind, is just going to try to make the team. And look, I feel like, maybe the comparison, maybe because it's a white middle linebacker, is Will Compton, just trying his hardest to make the team, right? A guy who wants more playing time, that will do whatever it takes to get more playing time. So I think that's the big surprise. I think the good thing that I see on there is 2 offensive linemen. And I've been preaching from the skies for years, really this offseason, that the Titans' biggest problem is the offensive line. They got to address it. They got to fix it. They got to figure it out. They got to protect their quarterback. They got to help their quarterback. And so I like that when you talk about positive analysis of these players, you get 2 offensive linemen. I like that. So those are kind of my first reactions from that list. It's early, it's June, but that's how I would look at that.
Right. And now the losers that I said Friday several times that people didn't want to necessarily listen to, but it was harder to find losers.
Well, see, I'm glad you guys didn't play, the new age, everybody gets a participation trophy, right? Because like elementary school, everybody did a good job. No, there are winners and there are losers in this life. And if you're a loser, you're a loser. If you're a winner, you're a winner. That's why we love sports. That's why we talk about it every single day. So it doesn't mean that losers can't eventually be winners if they work really hard and put in the effort. They could be on that winners list. But for now, it sounds like you formed the opinion that these guys are losers.
Yes, and it was difficult. And now what I say is the 5 winners maximized opportunities that they were presented in minicamp. These 5 did not. The 5 losers, speaking of helping out the quarterback, Will Levis was right there on our losers list. So was Traylon Burks, as he was doing gunner reps throughout the special teams period. Daniel Brunskill, who looks like to be the odd man in the right guard competition with Sidik Charles and Dylan Radins. Nicholas Petit-Frere and Chavondre Sweat, neither of them on the practice field for any of the mandatory drills last week. We'll see if Sweat returns this week, tomorrow at OTAs. Brian Callahan hinted that he might be able to come back out this week, but a short-term thing in NPF is still rehabbing something. Yeah, Callahan would not confirm that it was his shoulder that got torn up and needed surgery in the middle of last season. But Levis landing on the losers list, that is what caught a lot of attention that we had in Burks. And so I'm sure you've got some initial thoughts on just the idea of Will Levis being right there.
Well, you also have 2 offensive linemen on that list, right? Yeah. So maybe it's tit for tat in that sense. And Burks is not good because he's a first-round selection that, as last week's news came out, is going to have to play special teams. tough scene over there if that's the case, but that is the case. Unfortunately, that has been earned, not given by Treylon Burks. And Will Levis, anytime a quarterback is on, especially your starting quarterback, your young starting quarterback that has a lot of buzz and more weapons around him, is on the losers list, that's not good. And so, yeah, I think the losers list is more concerning and not it outweighs the winners list just based on, I think name by name recognition. But, that's something that there's time to fix, but it's not a good look from this Titans team if you're not performing well in these. And look, it's opinions, right? I mean, we all have opinions. You can see it with your own two eyes. It's called execution. That's what it is. That's what you're looking for, Austin. When you've watched a lot of practices in your day, as have I, you look for execution. How do you execute your drill? Team effort. Do you lead by example? Do you lead with your jaw and your mouth? Do you, all of these things go into, I think, assessing a player on an NFL practice field, which is difficult. I will say that because the reps are few and far between. The time is limited. So, but that's all we have. And I think that's what this show represents, is forming opinions based on what we see and analyzing them and then talking about them. So, but I don't like that losers list. I don't think Titans fans should like that losers list.
Yeah, and look, we're not recapping. We're just recapping the weekend. And Matt Drew says Levis not been doing good at minicamp, haven't been able to keep up. And yeah, he did not have the cleanest minicamp. As I'll show this graphic from last week too. This was the 7-on-7 red zone series, plural, both series that Levis had. Not great. He overthrew Josh Wiley in the back of the end zone. And Zach, you'll find this comedic. The ball bounced on the turf and then hopped over the fence and went into the Amulet Lake. And one of two footballs that went in the lake last weekend. One of them, the first ever missed field goal that I've ever seen gone in that lake. It was that badly missed by not Nick Folk, by the kicker that I don't remember his name. Jack Gibbons cuts in front of Chig for an interception on the goal line. Hopkins was open early in that rep, missed him. Amani Hooker pass break up on the next snap to save a Boyd touchdown, and then a sack as Burks fell down the end zone right there. Then he scrambled away for a coverage sack. Did have a nice touchdown pass to Tyler Boyd between defenders. Just missed a deep corner to an undrafted free agent rookie wide receiver in Schnee. A touchdown catch to Pollard on the goal line, and then NWI could not reel in what would have been a great catch there. So that was the ugly part of the overall 7-on-7 from the red zone. But from what I saw, Will Levis, he was not sharp even in other drills without defense. There were times that the ball was behind players. And I'll go ahead and play some of this B-roll here that we've got, Zach, of some Will Levis practice rep. It just, over physically, he looks the part, right? And he looks healthy. His release is quick. He's working on some techniques. But there's some things that you'll see later on in this B-roll where the ball placement isn't where you would like it to be on certain throws from Levis. And so these are just getting warmed up, throwing out the backfield are not any of those that are to be concerned about. But once we get into this one, specifically to Hopkins, that's an interception, right? That's allowing a defender to undercut this, as well as that. A back shoulder on the post, you got to have that football high and towards the goalpost instead of back shoulders. And there was a couple just things like that Levis was working through. And you see Bo Hardigree right there in the white shirt coaching up the quarterback through some individual portion. But so it wasn't all like, oh, he had a bad 7-on-7. It was just, there were some things, ball placement wasn't the sharpest, wasn't the cleanest that I saw from Levis last week.
Well, and look, I'm not comparing because it's not even a close comparison, but like, it's the things that, like, Aaron Rodgers goes on the practice field and he makes the right throw at the right point, at the right catch point. And then you also see Caleb Williams over the weekend and Keenan Allen. Caleb Williams sitting there, I don't know if you saw this, just tossing just a kind of a lazy pass up there. And Keenan Allen's like, who now plays for the Bears, is like, hell no. Like, practice like you play. I think the good part about Will Levis is we've seen some of the intangibles, and we've talked over the years of players that play well when the lights are the brightest. But in practice, that's really where you've got to get your repetitions. That is key. And so that's a little concerning that Will Levis, but he's also a very young quarterback, like he has not young in the sense of like he's not CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson young, but like young as in played NFL football and learned how to practice. Now he's got a year under his belt on how to practice, but I do think that there's a different weight now on number 8's shoulders, is you've got to take this team to the next level. And, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a problem leading by example because he has all of the attributes in throwing the football and placing the football exactly where it needs to be. That's something that, can be at least taught or coached over the course of time. But if you're seeing this, others are seeing this too. And Will Levis has to help his teammates.
Yeah, for sure. And so we're going to go ahead and get to our question, Zach, that we have here for the audience. And that is, what's your biggest concern about Will Levis as the Titans quarterback to this point? So, we're not trying to dump on Levis because I think him having a bad minicamp is not the end of the world by any means. I think that would be ridiculous to have that take, but he is learning a new offense, learning a lot of new players and teammates and new relationships across the board, a lot of new for Will Levis going into his second year. But the question here is, what's your biggest concern about Will Levis as the Titans starting quarterback to this point? We'll get to your answers. We'll also hear from Brian Callahan here in a second. But first, Zach, tell everybody about our great friends at Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com is where to go to get your new health plan. Plan on them for health, dental, and vision. 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee, 75 years they've been in business all across the state of Tennessee. They can help you and your family. All you have to do is get a health assessment, then get a quote. Then you pick if it is the right plan for you. Once you pick, you make that selection, you start the payments, and you get insured with this health plan. It's great. Farm Bureau Health Plans, it's trusted by A to Z Sports, trusted by the Tennessee Titans, FBHP.com/ATOZ.
And with BetMGM, it is definitely finals time as the NBA and hockey and college baseball all fighting towards a championship, and you can win big with BetMGM. Sign up if you haven't yet with our bonus code ATOZ Sports. That's ATOZ Sports. Go big with that first bet because you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. That's only when you sign up with our bonus code ATOZ Sports. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and other requirements. First online room money wager only. Rewards issued in non-general bonus bets, and bonus bets expire in 7 days. And for a problem gambling support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Okay, so Zach, I just wanted to ask this question because I want to get the chat more involved. What's your biggest concern right now about Will Levis as the Titans starting quarterback? We'll get to some comments that Brian Callahan had about his quarterback bouncing back and having some tougher times last week in practice. But what is the biggest concern that you have about Will Levis as the Titans starting quarterback to this point? So, Zach, I'll send you the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Also need more likes on the show, too, while we're here.
David says ball placement and accuracy. Chris Frazier has zero concerns, so he needs to correct that there at the end. Luke says absolutely nothing. Health due to offensive line from Take Rock. I'm concerned that he won't adjust to his mechanics. So, QB coaching and head coaching now, coaching him up with the mechanics, footwork, all of those things help make sure that the ball is on time and where it needs to be. If you can get rid of the turnover-worthy plays, turnovers are it's just a part of the NFL when you play quarterbacks because of the defensive speed. And so you try to lessen that, protecting him from injury from Justin, decision-making from Corey, decision-making there from Chris. Biggest concern is Sweat. So a little bit different from Pistol Ramsey.
About Levis, not about right now. Yeah.
Clayton Smith says turnovers. No concerns yet. Inconsistency from Karen. Accuracy, completion percentage means something. Staying healthy all season. None for me right there from Willie. And Curtis brings up, he cares much about marketing. We saw him outside way too much this offseason. I don't think, look, you know who we saw too much of? SGA and Chet Holmgren, okay, in the NBA playoffs. That's who we saw too much of, okay? Singing songs that they can't sing. I don't think we saw Will Levis. He does endorsements. He's trying to make money, right? I mean he's getting opportunity, but he's not anywhere close to you don't see him. I mean,
yeah,
I think the country doesn't even know where he plays.
Are you complaining about him going and helping and being a part of a Special Olympics event? Like, what are you complaining about? Like, that Nashville SC invited him to a home game and he went out there for a soccer game. You complain about that. You complain that he played at former Titan Tim Shaw's golf tournament for charity. Like, what are you complaining about?
Yeah, I would actually put those under community relations.
Yeah, I would say those are positive things that he is inserting himself and wanting to be a part of this community.
All right, so Nick brings this up and he says, bad minicamp versus air is not good. I think Nick brings up a point that is, you don't have the bloodthirsty corners that are a lot faster than the guys, playing against Kentucky. He's not playing against anybody. I mean, they have their 7-on-7 periods, but this is not truly, we're not at the point in the season, right? Off season per se, that he can get those type of reps. So if you're concerned and, you look at it and it's like, what's going on versus air, that could be concerning. Maven says accuracy, which we've seen progressions there from C shoots. Austin, I mean, you've seen this firsthand.
Yeah.
How do you answer this question?
So I have two concerns as of now. One of them I think is going to work itself out. And then the other one is something that we have to continue to monitor. His decision-making is what I think is going to work itself out. When he was going through 7-on-7s, he was making late throws or not seeing the receiver, like on the play that was intercepted by Jack Gibbons on 7-on-7 on the goal line. DeAndre Hopkins ran a beautiful route on the outside and had a touchdown as easy as it can get in that spot. And Levis just flat out didn't see him. And so, there's some other things that he has been late to a throw to an open receiver where that ball, if it was on time, could have been a big catch and run opportunity where it was late and the receiver has to make a tough play on a ball. So I do think his decision-making will be able to work itself out because he is still just 2 months into this new offense and the new system with a lot of new pieces around him. What I'm mainly concerned about is the accuracy. It's seeing him throw on air and throwing routes into the end zone. I guess it was Wednesday's practice when they did a lot of work into the end zone on 7-on-7, but also just working with receivers as well. The ball placement was just not where you want it. We all know. Everybody here has watched enough football games to know when you throw a football in the back of the end zone, you aim to miss high, right? Because if you miss high, it just goes out the back of the end zone, and that's the only place where the receiver can either get it or not get it, and it's out of harm's way. What you don't do in the back of the end zone is throw it low and behind a receiver because that's typically where defensive backs live. And that's just where I saw a lot of his footballs. They weren't high enough. And this wasn't just a Will Levis thing. I'll also point out that Mason Rudolph and Malik Willis also had some problems of getting a football high up to a receiver can go up and win and not be in danger of defensive backs getting a finger on it. And so I think accuracy is the main thing I am concerned about. Even in some 7-on-7 work, there was a couple plays that come to my mind where on Tuesday in the bubble, especially where NWI found a hole in the defense in a zone and had to make a sliding catch on his back hip instead of being able to catch the football and turn upfield and gain more yards. He made the great catch, but still, it wasn't accurate enough. So he's working on mechanics. He's working on his base. He's working on keeping the football higher than where he's had it previously. So that could be, part of the growing pains that he's going through. But and I do think his accuracy is something that is to be concerned about. Now, Karen says it is practice. Yes, it is practice. But a lot of times practice does carry over into games. And he wasn't exactly accurate last year either. Like, you can go back and watch a couple of that DeAndre Hopkins deep touchdowns. One specifically in my mind against the Falcons. Diop had to kind of come back and wait on a little bit. And so he is not the most accurate guy. That was a knock on him coming out of college, but his accuracy is what I need to see more consistency from.
So I think accuracy, I mean, that's for any quarterback, right? Besides Patrick Mahomes and maybe Aaron Rodgers. So that's all that is. If you're accurate with the football, you're going to win football games. We all know that. But I think the reason why you're saying that is how kind of you ended the conversation or your statements is that was a concern, right? So if you have a question mark, you know who else had accuracy issues? Josh Allen. Josh Allen, his rookie year, he was bad. High. Throwing over guys, and he threw over a lot of people. He improved that over time, and that was, I think, probably Brian Daboll in that sense of how coaching improved quarterback play. I'm going to go a little different route. I'm going to go the change that has occurred because I think people struggle. Change in life is inevitable, but people struggle with change, right? I'm going to go, my big concern, and I'm not sitting here saying that he's not going to be a good quarterback because of this. It's something that he must work on to be successful, is he must go through all of his reads. And why that is Derrick Henry is no longer on the team. It's not the same. We have this safety bull back that can get us a few yards or that can change the game, or we can drain the clock, control the football. He needs to utilize all of his reads because he has better weapons around him, and he's got a tandem. I think Tony Pollard will get more playing time and will be on the number one graphic come week 1, but I think both running backs will play. How do you utilize those running backs in checkdowns? How do you utilize the tight end who's open? You said he overthrew Wiley. I don't know that progression. I wasn't watching that play, but how did you get there? And that, as I've done some research and heard what Brian Callahan and Will Levis himself have stated, is there's always an answer in this offense. The answer of the previous offense was number 22. That was the main answer, right?
Yeah.
This is new. This is new to Titans fans. It's new to the state. It's new to the city, and it's new to these players. If there's an answer for every play, how do you get to that answer? And the answer could be checking down to a running back that goes out in the flat. The answer could be a 3-yard turnaround from a tight end so he can dive forward and try to break tackles. It could be a long bomb opportunity. But that, I think, is my big concern, is how does Will Levis go through all of his reads to find the correct one?
Yeah. No, without a doubt. And I think what you're saying there, the good thing about this, Zach, is that they're going up against a defense that is going to make it very difficult for him in practice. I think that's something that we get to watch, especially as training camp gets here in late July, is how is Denard Wilson challenging Will Levis in this offensive staff as far as the different looks that they're throwing at them. Brian Callahan said after Tuesday's practice that this is why I hired Denard Wilson, because it is really tough to play against all the different pressures that he is saying. And then Brian Callahan did talk about the offense being able to grow from that throughout the week of practice. Here was Callahan after Thursday's minicamp closed.
Offensively, we bounced back from not great day yesterday in 7-on-7 in the red zone. Defense kind of kicked our teeth in, and then today they came out with some good energy, and our first set of 7-on-7 was much better. So good to see that.
It's good to see that, but he followed this up too about 7-on-7 in particular, that it's not just about completing passes, because Marcus Mariota had like an 85-90% completion rate in 7-on-7 practice sessions. But that didn't turn out to be much of anything. It's about what they're doing in 7-on-7s and being more aggressive and pushing the envelope.
7-on-7 to me has always been a bit of an experimental period for quarterbacks. It's, there's no consequence. And sometimes you use those reps to find out what you can get away with. I encourage those quarterbacks to maybe not necessarily check the ball down every time in 7-on-7. Test your throws. Test the throw into a tight coverage, test it into a tight window, and then we can coach off the decision-making. But sometimes there is a place for a little bit of experimentation and trying to see what you can and can't get away with in a live motion period. They're allowed to have some freedom to try some throws, and we coach off of it. And you could say, look, we know that you'd probably get to the back here in a real game, or you check the ball down here, but we don't mind an aggressive approach sometimes in 7-on-7.
And that's why decision-making is not my biggest concern for Levis, and its accuracy, because you can make some of those aggressive decisions, and if you're accurate with it, you can get away with more of them. But if you're inaccurate with it, that's where it burns you, right? Accuracy, you have to be on top of it with just about any decision that you make, aside from the rare wide the hell open situations that you get in the NFL.
Well, so, today's show, we've created this topic based on kind of what you've seen, what you're reporting with your eyes. Mm-hmm. And then now we're hearing from Brian Callahan. I think one of my questions would be, from what you're seeing, do you see Will Levis? Is it more aggressive plays, or is it more concerning plays?
Okay.
Because you have to say, because this is what, and maybe Brian Callahan is saving him. I don't know what he said. What Brian Callahan is saying makes a lot of sense. This is the opportunity to, I'm not saying get some of the interceptions out, but like, who cares? And I sit there, the reporters and the eyes that are not a part of the team care, because you're sitting there saying, hey, he's throwing picks. What the hell is he doing? But if his coach is saying, look, this is where to find out, can you fit it in that window? And maybe if you miss June 8th, 9th, 7th, 6th, 5th, that is the time to miss. So my question, Austin, with your eyes, is it more aggressive play, or is it more concerning play?
Okay, I will answer that question here in a moment. But first, let me get to our great friends about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you have an injury in life, there is only one place to turn to in Middle Tennessee, and that is the Bone and Joint Institute. Their main campus is in Franklin, right off of I-65 and Highway 96, right next to Williamson Medical Center. They also have satellite clinics and physical therapy offices around Williamson County and growing. I've been checking out the Brentwood Physical Therapy Center the last few weeks with my tendonitis in my knee, and it's been helping a lot. I mean, getting some workouts in there. I come out of there sweating after some physical therapy from the Bone and Joint Institute. They can help you with whatever your injury situation is, whatever stage in life you are. If you have a son or daughter that's injured playing youth sports, they got you there. Or if maybe it's just a life injury that happens as you get older, the Bone and Joint Institute is the best. They've got all the experts in one spot right there in Franklin and across Williamson County. boneandjointtn.org to book an appointment.
It is Sports. We are powered by BetMGM. Use that bonus code ATOZ Sports. To the king of the sports book. You got the NBA Finals going on. You got WNBA action with Caitlin Clark that is at the top of everyone's Twitter feed, I feel like, over the last several months, even on that. College baseball. Clemson, valiant effort yesterday. Lost me some money, but that's okay. Tennessee is advanced. Virginia's advanced. They've got some other teams. That's an opportunity to put together some good parlays as the college World Series is on the horizon. You also obviously have Major League Baseball in full swing. So download the app BetMGM. They're the king of the sportsbook. Bonus code ATOZ Sports.
All right, Zach, you've asked me a question about Will Levis. I'll have you state it one more time so I can dive into my thoughts after watching 3 days of minicamp and the 2 previous weeks of OTAs. Your question about Levis is?
Well, Brian Callahan came on and said he wants his quarterbacks to be more aggressive during practice. That's the time to practice and test. You're sitting here and reporting, and this is one of the reasons why we're talking about it today, is, you know, one of the questions is that Will Levis has not performed very well. We started the show with winners and losers, and Will Levis was in the losers slot. Mm-hmm. Is this more aggressive play, or is this more concerning play? Because he's up part of the losers bracket. That's an opinion.
I think because of some inaccuracies, I think it's more of concerning play. Like I don't have problems with decisions that he's made. Like, again, like he's thrown the ball into some tight spots. Like, I'll just throw up the graphic from the 7-on-7 red zone period from Wednesday's minicamp, right? Interception, Jack Gibbons cuts in front of Chig on the goal line. That was in traffic, but a pretty touchdown pass to Tyler Boyd between defenders and a touchdown catch from Tony Pollard on the goal line. Those 2 touchdown passes were also between traffic. Like the throw to NWI where he couldn't get 2 feet in and just missed Schnee above that too. Those were accurate throws on aggressive decisions. So I think where I'm more at right now is I'm concerned about inaccuracies with aggressive decisions. And so I would say that's more of the poor play aspect of it. If it goes in that bucket. But again, I'm understanding that it's June. I'm understanding that he's working through mechanic tweaks and he's working through a new system and new timing and new teammates. So I'm not saying this is how I'm set in stone about Levis. From the 2 options that I had here, I am more concerned about the play than I am just saying, oh, this is just him being aggressive and pushing the envelope a little bit more.
So let's fast forward, or at least look in the future a little bit. I mean, when is the grace period? Because I'm with you. There needs to be some grace period with all of the things around him. Now, you got better players, I would assess, than last year or the year before, right? For Will Levis, you know, especially last year and the time that he played. When's the grace period over of, okay, you need to know this offense? Is it deeper into the season? Is it through training camp? When is this no longer going to be I think you're giving some good reasons. I think they form into excuses at some point in time, and I don't know when that is. What you don't want to see is you sitting there in practice at some point, and this is kind of where we're headed of when that is going to be, saying, man, he's doing the same thing that I saw in June, and I haven't seen the inaccuracies are still there. He will always, there will still be opportunity to make plays, right? You're just going to have that. But when's the grace period over?
I'd say like the 2nd or 3rd preseason game.
Like, there's only 3. So
that's what I'm saying. Like I think that's,
so you're saying before the season starts.
Yeah. Like I am expecting him to not have the cleanest training camp, and that's okay. Like I don't have a problem with that. And so I also would describe his week last week of just, it wasn't very clean. And Jerry says it feels like sometimes Austin has negative feelings towards Levis, and that I'm continuing to be amnesia. Sounds like Austin is still a Levis hater. I'm not hating on him. I'm telling you what I saw. It wasn't a very clean week from Will Levis.
Well, Brian Callahan backed what Austin just set up. So you can play that back. He references poor play by the offense prior to saying we bounced back. You don't bounce back from an outstanding epic practice. You know, you bounce back from bad play. So the this is why you watch, is because we're a trusted source that is on the field that have eyes. I'm not questioning that there were bad practices. I think that there were, and I think Brian Callahan said that. So this is why the topic is authentic, but it's also why it's concerning.
Yeah, here's Callahan real quick.
Offensively, we bounced back from not great day yesterday in 7-on-7 in the red zone. Defense kind of kicked our teeth in, and then today they came out with some good energy, and our first set of 7-on-7 was much better. So good to see that.
Kicked your teeth in, right, brother? When you say kicked your teeth in, you got to go to the dentist. You now have veneers, brother. So, like, that's not good. That's why this all aligns. And that's why I think we're talking about this topic. Is it's okay. We're not sounding the alarm. We're not, woo, woo, woo. We're not doing that. But we're sitting here saying, well, this is not a great start. Like, we're June, and Will Levis is not performing with all the new pieces and the shiny new offense to maybe what you'd like to hear. What you'd love to hear is Brian Callahan say, man, hey, we are doing a really good job. You know whose teeth got kicked in? The defense. They need to step up. And we love how Will Levis is putting pressure on him after he threw multiple touchdowns. We want to hear that from the reporters is, the accuracy is uncanny. He was threading the needle like, it is unreal. But we're not hearing that. So I think that's why the topic is what the topic is.
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of there was Thomas Odukoya had a 58-yard touchdown pass and catch and run from Mason Rudolph. And Rudolph hit Kyle Phillips for a nice bomb down the right side for a 40-plus yard gain. Like, Levis did not really have any of those big, huge plays that were made in 7-on-7. Again, nice touchdown pass, Tyler Boyd, followed by a nice touchdown pass, Tony Pollard, in 2 out of 3 plays. Like, that's not – he had touchdown passes. He had 2 out of 9 and a pick. Like, that's not great if you're snapping the football from the 5 and the 10-yard line for 9 snaps. That's not what you want. That's a lot of field goals, right? And so I think – go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just – again, I'm not out on Will Levis. The chat
No, but you got to sit here and say, what is the why? What's the reasoning? And I think the chat brought up a lot of, we talked about what's your biggest concern. I think majority of them were valid. Is like, these are some of the things that we heard coming out of college and when he was drafted, things that we saw. I mean, we saw some really good passes though last year. There were some short arm passes. There were, not great accuracy at times, but we did see, Miami comes to mind. That throw to DeAndre Hopkins down that right sideline is it. Okay, that's beauty, right?
But I think of the most impressive throw, I think maybe for the entire year, was the one dropped by Treylon Burks at Houston. Remember on the opening drive, I think it was, just straight down the hash marks on a rope and just dropped for 50-plus yards. And now Calvin brings up a super chat and says, first off season as QB1, new system, new players, he will settle in. That Dolphins game last year gives Calvin hope that he'll show up on game day, just needs time. And that's why I think, Zach, I said, where does the grace period end? And I said either preseason game 2 or 3, because I will even allow preseason game 1 to have some rust, but preseason game 2 or 3, that's where I want to see it cleaned up. And I want to see Will Levis out there making decisions like they actually matter, because the decisions don't matter in practice. They will matter a little bit more in training camp. They will matter slightly more in the first preseason game, but they will really start to matter the closer you get to week 1 at Chicago.
He's got to be playing the first 2 quarters, right?
That is a conversation that I don't think we're going to have just once.
No, I know, because you're not like CJ Stroud. If you told me that he played a series, I'd be like, okay, probably needs more, but okay. Will Levis is just not there, right? And that's just based on previous history. Anthony Richardson, he got to play 2 quarters. Anthony Richardson's in a very similar situation that Will Levis is not. Trevor Lawrence doesn't have to play 2 quarters, but Will Levis, he's got to play because we're sitting here talking about, oh, well, it's a new offense. Oh, he's got new players. Oh, it's year 2. Well, you got to put that together against other defenders. So that won't be a topic. You did bring something up that here's a take I'll have very early in June. Something that I have not had a chance to talk about. I don't know if you guys have brought this player up extensively, but I think one of the best, most subtle moves this offseason for the Tennessee Titans was Mason Rudolph. Because Mason Rudolph's job, no, you don't want Mason Rudolph to play 10 games. No, you don't want Mason Rudolph to play 8 games. Mason Rudolph's job description is that if Will Levis turns an ankle or, hurts something and is out for 2 weeks, Mason Rudolph can win one of those 2 games. Yeah. If, God forbid, Will Levis is out for 3 weeks, Mason Rudolph can win 1 or maybe 2 of those 3 games. And that can save your season. And I always go back. The best part about the Tennessee Titans schedule is that the last 3 weeks of the year are division opponent, division opponent, division opponent. That gives you a puncher's chance to possibly make the playoffs. You may be out of it by then. You may be in it by then. You may be in it and lose because of that by then. I don't know. But if Mason Rudolph can help you bridge if something goes awry, which we saw it do twice, multiple times at the quarterback position last year, right? Because they couldn't protect him. Your season is not lost. And Will Levis, because what you want to see Will Levis do this year, and I may be speaking too far down the road, but you want him to be playing meaningful football as late in the year as possible, because a measure of a man, aka quarterback or woman, if you want equal opportunity, is when pressure is applied. And when pressure is going to be applied, Austin, and to the chat, is going to be week 16, 17, and 18. You got 2 road games with divisional opponents, and you got the defending AFC South champion, Houston Texans, that everyone is gloating about for the last, since they lost in the playoffs. So that's it. But watch out for Mason Rudolph. You don't want him to play all year, but if he does, I think he has enough games under his belt to win 1 out of 3 or 2 games.
Yeah, he did that last week or last year for the Steelers. I think Mason Rudolph is the right backup quarterback to Will Levis. I think that's a very good fit for Will Levis. And so, and no, Pistol Ramsey, I don't think either of us is saying draft another quarterback like the Falcons. So some of you guys just take words and run with them as fast as possible.
I think that's let's double down on this, at least on me. That's why Mason Rudolph is the perfect player, is because he's had his opportunity to be a starter. Mason Rudolph's not a starter in this league. Right. So the threat is not there. Michael Penix Jr. is a threat to Kirk Cousins. Weirdly enough, he is. Because if Kirk Cousins starts the season 1-4, what do you think Falcon fans are going to start bitching about?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Titans fans are not going to do that because Mason Rudolph is not a starting quarterback. He can for a short period of time, but that's why he's the perfect player to play behind Will Levis, who they've at least slid their chips in and spent a high draft pick on to see if he's the guy for this team and this new offense.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And then you got Malik Willis, who here's a side. We're on quarterbacks, Austin. Give me 4 sentences on Malik Willis. or one word. I don't know.
I've seen Malik Willis make improvement with his technique and footwork, but I have to see him be able to not be gun shy when the plays are live.
So you still have the same concern that the rest of the Titans fan base does about Malik Willis.
Yes. He's still the third quarterback.
Yeah. Because when the lights shine bright, that gun goes in the holster.
Right. Right. But again, this is ridiculous that I'm having to say this. I like Will Levis as the Titans starting quarterback. Okay. I feel good about his ability to grow. And I said this last week when Jack and I talked about Malik, is that if this staff, if I've seen some significant growth from Malik Willis's technique and footwork, then that just means that they're going to help Will Levis with his technique and footwork and continue to invest in him too, to have him grow. So look, I like where Will Levis is at. They're throwing a lot at him. He's having to manage it, and he's going to be better for it. So him struggling in minicamp, I think, is an overall good thing, because now he's got some adversity to fight through and to really work hard to get through, rather than just skating through with, an easy minicamp experience.
Well, at least we do know this. We're never going to have to question Will Levis's time and work ethic and what he's putting in. What you're judged on, and that's not always the case. I think Vince Young, right? We felt like, oh, he had the skill and talent. His throwing mechanics were awful, but he had this unbelievable talent that we saw in college. But you know what? There was a concern that Vince Young may be out and about when he didn't need to be out and about, or he wasn't in the building as much as maybe he could have or should have been. Will Levis, that is not a notion that we are going to think of. He's all in because he knows that he's going to have to outwork everyone. But can he put that together to yield the product on the field and the success that he can have? That's the fun of watching him. And we're going to find that out in the next several months.
Yep. King VC, once again, like the show, like the show on Facebook, on YouTube, and Anesia has a super chat. On the flip side of things, the defense having the ability to stop all these superstars is major news, especially because they couldn't stop anyone before. So superstars is thrown out there, I think, a little too willy-nilly. Look, Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins are not going balls to the wall in mandatory minicamp. So a lot of times on day 2 and 3 of minicamp, Calvin Ridley was not doing all that much when it came to 7-on-7. Diop would take a few reps and then be done for that period, because why would you want to push a 32-year-old guy on June 6th? And Calvin Ridley is as advertised. When it gets to minicamp and L'Jarius Sneed's doing stuff for real on the practice field, I want to see one-on-ones Ridley versus Sneed. I want to see one-on-ones D-Hop versus Sneed. That's going to be, must-watch practice. Talking about much-watch football practice. That'll be legit there. So the defense has made some nice plays. There's no doubt about that. But I would just be careful with throwing that term superstars around, because that's not how the Titans offense is repping this.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, Zach, let's go ahead and get to the Monday age game to wrap up the show. You were out last week, but the age game winner, I did send you that message. And so you've got that update on the age game winner from a week ago. But first, let me tell you guys about our friends at Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by going to see them in Lebanon, or check them out online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com to save money on that ride. Okay, I have hidden the chat from my view. Age game time to wrap up this Monday show. So, Zach, the floor is yours.
All right. We are going to have a unique age game, okay, with multiple opportunities, okay? This is unique. This is the first time we've ever done this. History can be made. And Austin, I will say this. If you can get one of these, we'll put you on the board, because that is fair, right? Okay. Now, they're connected in some weird way, but we were looking for 2 answers. So over the weekend, I went to my family ranch, which is in Texas ties. I started thinking about Cowboys. I was playing cowboy, as they say, right? I don't own any cattle or horses or any of that. I've never ridden a bull, but playing cowboy's fun. So it got me thinking. I was like, all right, Cowboys. Well, who are some of the most famous Cowboys? And so I started to go down Wyatt Earp, Butch Cassidy. I was like, oh, that's going to be too hard. It's too old. Yeah. So then I started thinking, okay, who are the last 2 coaches that won Super Bowls with the Cowboys? How old is Barry Switzer and how old is Jimmy Johnson? Both are older than Diana Taurasi. That is your hint.
Yeah.
But how old is Barry Switzer and how old is Jimmy Johnson? So maybe you can figure something out, but we need 2 answers. That is the question. Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer, Cowboys, the last 2 winning Super Bowl head coaches for that franchise. That was a long time ago.
Man. Because Jimmy Johnson, you see him. He's a lot more in the public, but he's also had a lot of work done to maybe shave some years off of what he would normally look like if he wasn't Jimmy Johnson. Man. Mid-90s. We are 30 years. Are we 30 years from a Cowboys Super Bowl?
I don't do math.
That was just
it's
a
big
sign
rule of mine.
I know. But yeah, making me do the age game. That's a lot of math on air for me then.
Well, no, you just got to guess the number. I didn't ask you to do any math.
I'm just thinking they've got to be both over 80, right? Because 2024 in 94, that's 30 years right there. They were both over 50 when they won Super Bowls. They had to have been. They had to have been over 50 when they won Super Bowls. I think Jimmy Johnson, I'm going to say Jimmy Johnson is 82 and Barry Switzer is, can I go one by one?
Okay, so you want the first one?
Yes, I'd rather. Yeah, I'm gonna go Jimmy Johnson.
Lock in. What's your locked in answer?
82 for Jimmy Johnson.
82 for Jimmy Johnson. You're close, but Trevor is correct. 80 is the correct answer, and Trevor S is the first one to say 80. So Trevor S, we're gonna put you on the board.
Okay.
I'm giving things. I don't usually. This is 2 opportunities to get on the board. So I'm trying to get you to win. Trevor S, you're going up on the board. Now you got to figure out if Barry Switzer, where he falls in line now that you have one of them, right?
That's why I wanted to do it that way.
Yeah.
Man. Barry Switzer, I'm going to say, is 77.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Barry Switzer is older than Jimmy Johnson.
Damn it. I almost thought about sticking with my same answer of 82.
And let's see here. And John Kavanaugh, who has been a champion before, is going to get his 2nd trophy. We're handing out trophies like participation awards today, John. So there you go. He is now 2X on the board. Way to go, John Kavanaugh, because that was very specific. 86 years old. I tried, Austin. Mama tried. A couple of Cowboys. 80 and 86 is the correct answer.
I have no words.
What did Jack? How old did Jack guess Taurasi was last week?
Oh, he way undershot it. He said like 37 or something like that.
Okay, well, so you're not going to put Jack up on the board.
No, Jack didn't make it. Randy did make it last week.
But Randy's down there. John Kavanaugh, 2X. He gets, maybe I should, because it was 2. Well, hey, look, it counts. So Brock, Anthony, and John are our 2-time champions. Trevor S. now gets up down there on the board. Age game leaderboard. It's filling up. But Austin, I've got that place to the left for you. I'm saving it for you.
I'm just trying to get on the board before somebody gets 3 times on the board. That's what I have to avoid.
Yep. So there's your age game. How about them Cowboys?
Yeah. How about them Cowboys? All right. That'll be it.
No Super Bowls. How about them Cowboys?
That's right. All right, guys, that'll do it for us on this Monday. The Titans are back on the practice field tomorrow for OTAs, so we'll have content from that Wednesday and Thursday. So make sure you do tune in to our social media for that, because our last chance to see these guys on the practice field. But that'll do it for us on this Monday. Hope you guys have a great start to your week. Please lock in and like the show, as our guy King VC says. Hit that like button on Facebook and on YouTube, and we'll talk to you guys later on. Appreciate it as always.
Adios.